welcome to our Baby Lock Regent live demo today. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. And as you can see in that big picture, that's what we're going to be working on today. Today we are beginning our ruler work series on the Baby Lock Regent. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I will be back. You'll see my hands over there, and we will get started playing with rulers on the Baby Lock Regent. So I'm going to go over to the Regent, and we're going to get started with some fun ruler work on my little quilt I've been working on. So here we go. And I'm just walking right on over here. Hello everybody. Okay, here we go. So, as you can see, I've already quilted all of this in the ditch. And I'm going to get my gloves because when I do ruler work, I really like to use my quilting gloves, or whenever I do free motion work of any kind. So the ruler I'm highlighting today is the S-curve ruler. Okay, let's see here. That where you can see it. I don't have my glasses on, so there we go. Now it's the right side up. So right there you can see it says Baby Lock right here. This is a Baby Lock ruler. And the center pops out, so you actually have two different sizes of these S rulers to use. So what I do have to do though, I do have to change the foot on my machine to the ruler work foot. Let me grab that and I'll show you how easy that is to do. Just have to grab the right box over here. Where are you at? It's the couching foot. Where is my ruler foot? Is that you? I can do it without it, but I really want to use the correct foot. Just bear with me for just a moment. Where the heck are you? Where did I set you? Oh, it never fails, people. Okay. We have a deeper look right here. Still moving the studio space around, and it can be a challenge to find something that I am actually looking for. Apologize for that, everybody. Okay, so it is here somewhere, but you know what? We're going to muggle on through it without it. And I'll find that for next week's show. So what I have on here is one of the couching feet, and it'll be okay. I'll just be really careful with it. So what I'm going to do, this is a rail fence, and I'm going to be putting. I want to put some some S curves into this. Now I could free motion that, however, it'll be so much neater and tidier if I use the ruler foot instead, a ruler instead. I love using rulers. These particular gloves are called grabberoos. One of my favorite. They have little micro dots of rubber on the fingertips, so they really hold on to your quilt and ruler really well. I'm just going to put those on. I also use machine gears. Love them both. I tend to gravitate towards this particular one more than the others. There we go. And they're super thin, so they're very breathable. Your hands will not sweat or any of that fun stuff. So I am going to quilt this blue stripe first. Now I've already stitched in the ditch, so I will travel. When I need to travel, I will travel in the ditch. Okay, so, and I have, oops, let me take one of them off so I can operate my touch screen. There we go. And I have it set to 12 stitches to the inch. I have it in stitch regulation mode. Just pull those right there for right now. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start down here in this corner. I'm going to travel up and back, up and back. It's just going to kind of be like a ribbon. So right in that corner, I'm going to drop my needle just by tapping on the foot pedal. And tap it again to bring that needle up. Then let's hold on to the thread, slide it out, and I'll pull that bobbin thread up. And that way I don't get any little thread nests on the back of my little quilt here. And I'm just going to tap it and put the needle down. And I have it set so whenever I stop sewing, it will stop in the needle down position. That's what I like to use. And now I'm going to position my ruler where I want it. Now remember, on a ruler foot, the needle is 1/4 inch away from the outside diameter, the outside edge of your ruler foot. And that's why the edge of the ruler will never line up exactly where you want the stitching to start. And that's okay. So I am going to, I want a nice big curve on this. So I am going to use the tip of the ruler to line it up on the seam line right here, like this. And what I'm going to do for a visual guide, this tip that I'm going to sew towards is lined up on this seam line. The bottom tip that I will not be sewing through is lining up on the seam line that I have my needle drop in. So there and there. That's what I'm going to use for a visual alignment. I don't have to mark anything. That's one of the great things about using rulers. There's no marking. Now, I'm just going to take a couple of stitches in place to tie it off, and we're going to get started. Okay, and we'll stop right there. And then it's time to reposition. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go up in the seam about 1/4 inch. Okay, and then I'm going to use the same positioning and come back down. Okay. You get my ruler right where I want it. Should be right over here. Go up a little higher. There we go. There we go. There's where I want it. And I'm going to change my mind here because that's not really working out how I wanted it to. I'm actually going to skip one seam and go over. There we go. Right there like that. We're going to try that one. Okay. And now I'll come back down this way. Line those up. And perfect. Now I'm not pressing down hard on the ruler. I'm just resting my fingertips on it. On the bottom of it, I have what's called true dots. Super nice. And what those are, little dots it'll hold. They feel like sandpaper on the bottom, and they just hold it right in place on your quilt top, on your piece. Let's come down. Now that I have my machine set, I can put my other glove back on. And get those 2 points lined up where I want them. Okay. And come back down. Now I'm going to travel on up this way. There we go. Oh, I was way off there, but that's okay. I'm just going to eyeball it and fill it in. You know, this is one of my practice quilts, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Whenever you're learning a new technique, you really want something to practice on. And quite honestly, it's easier to practice, especially ruler work. I find it's easier to have an actual quilt top to work on because you can use all of the seam lines and the seam intersections as points of reference. And that makes it oh so much easier to keep everything right where you want it. Now that we got that part out of the way, we're going to do something a little bit different. And I'm going to use this S curve. I'm going to put one point in the middle of a strip. I'm going to navigate over there. And the other one, let me use the bigger one this time. There we go. There's what I'm wanting. Right there. And I'm just going to make a nice curve down the center of the strip. So what you want to do, oh, I like that. This would be a great way to quilt log cabin blocks, anything with strips in it. And then I'm just going to come over this way to that intersection, and I'm going to mirror that curved stripe. And all I'm doing right now, I'm just eyeballing it so the edge of the ruler matches the previous line of the quilting right here. Here we go. Perfect. I like that. Okay, cool. Now I'm ready for the second strip right over here. And let's see, a different way to use this would be I am going to come over to about the center point of that strip where my needle's at. Excuse me. And I am going to use it like this. Let's see here. Right there. So you may not be able to see it on camera, but there's a reference line right there. And I'm using that reference line that's etched into the ruler to line it up so that it stays even with the long seam line. And that way, I'm actually moving it up, have the edge of the ruler against the foot. I'm putting the etch line on this seam line right over here. This is the strip I'm working on. And that's what I'm going to use as reference points. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going to come all the way down to here. Now next week I will have at least one more camera in this area, so you'll get to have a view from both sides. Okay, so there's that. Now I want to do another line. So I came down about 1/2 inch. Let's see here. There we go. And I'm going to just keep my etch line parallel with this one seam line I'm using for a reference. And I'm going to shift my ruler down. And this time, I want this to actually end up in this corner right here. So I'm eyeballing a 1/4 inch. And I know that might scare some of you, but once you start doing this, it's really easy to do. So here we go. And there it is. All right. Well, that looks really made a little loopy here. Once I get this one done, I'm going to show you what it looks like. Now, without moving or traveling, I'm going to change it up, still using the etch line as a reference, but we're going to bring it down way further this time. When I get to a seam line in the strip I'm working on, I stop, okay? And now I'm just going to move it over, move it up, so it comes back and curves in the opposite direction to a corner. These little strip quilts are a great type of quilt to practice different techniques on, because you can try out something different in each strip. Okay, that looks pretty cool. Now I'm going to shift it over here to the other side maybe. Wait a minute here. No, don't want that. Use that seam line. That'll work. So I'm lining up my etch lines on this seam line again. But I'm shifting the ruler either that way or this way, so I'm not going right on top of a previous line of stitching. Think of those old spirographs. This is kind of what this is doing right here. And now I want one more. Let's see here. I want it to come way, way down. That's what I just did. Don't want that. If I bring it down to the next line, let's see here. Maybe I can line it up over here instead. Up this way. There we go. Maybe. That will bring me pretty darn close right there. Oh, this is better. This is better. I'm going to do it right here this time. Okay. And now I can come back over this way. About right there. Okay. So I'm going to travel over to this other corner. Now, yes, I could use a straight edge ruler to travel with, but once you get the knack of this, you don't really have to do that. I actually did a lot of this in the ditch quilting without a ruler. So, and it just have to be able to concentrate. You really can't have any distractions when you're doing that. I have some free motion stuff on here as well. This is a wonderful time to play. So that's a very geometrical, it looks good. And now though, I am going to do this to really mix it up. And I'm going to use a little hash mark that's right in the center. Right here and right here. These are the two marks I'm going to use for reference marks on seam lines. And what I'm going to do, no, this way maybe. I'm going to travel up to this corner because I really find it easier if I'm working towards me, especially with the ruler. Now, when you're free motioning, the most control you have over your quilt is the area between your thumbs and your index fingers. You have total control on your fabric. If you stitch past that, you don't have as much control. There we go. Right up into the ditch, all the way up. Now we're going to have some ruler fun. I'm going to try something a little different this time. Okay, so here we go. The thing is, you don't want to press really hard up against it because that will cause it to shift. All you're doing is holding it in place, okay? You're not pushing up hard against the foot. You're just holding it in place and letting it glide right along the edge of that ruler. So now I need to come down this way. And using those same two marks, I'm actually going to go the opposite direction. Okay, and now I'll come back down again. Using those marks, this will keep those lines going in the same direction. There's a bazillion different ways that you can actually use these rulers. Many times for other than the way the ruler designer intended them to be used. Okay, that's going to look good. Let's come down. And come back up to right there. And then we'll come down. See, I just did something I told you not to do. I had my hands way out here when they should have been right up here, kind of forming a triangle. I call that the triangle of safety. Gives you the most control right there in that triangle between these, your two index fingers and your thumbs. Okay? So, I'm going to line that back up again. And I would call that one done. Very nice. And now we're going to travel over here to this blue one. There's that triangle of safety. Okay. And I'm going to come over this way. Over to my left. And there we go. Now, I want to do something a bit different on this one. Let's see here. If I do it right there, that should put I'm just going to keep moving it down. And we'll move it down again. And now I'm going to travel to the corner and up. And we're going to do the same thing coming back across. Let's see here. They're just nice little gentle lines going through there. That's good. Let's go to the next one. And now I'm actually going to go over to a new block. Let's see. I'm going to go over to this block right here because I want to use this and quilt a whole block with it at a time. Okay? So let's do this. Let's see here. I'm going to come down. Get that triangle of safety back. And I'm going to travel over to this corner. There we go. Okay. Now I'm at the corner I want to be in. Okay. And now I'm going to use, that's right on that corner, so I want to travel this way from corner to corner. I have to eyeball it so that I don't want to go outside the edge of my block here, but I want it to be, you have to eyeball that 1/4 inch placement right here, and that's what I just did. Here we go. Okay, there's that. Now, I'm going to travel down and I'm going to use these intersections, the corners of these seams for these strips as a reference point. So I'm going to travel down to this reference point. There we go. And then I am going to line this up so it comes back to the corner I started from. Okay. About right there. Perfect. Okay. And then I am going to, I'm always going to come back to this corner because I'm just fanning out these curved lines from that one corner. Okay, so next, my reference point would be, right up here would be the next one. Even though there's one here, that would really put that much closer than I want it because I'm looking at my spacing and I want it to stay kind of the same. So I've just got 2 more lines to do to have this block complete. So there's my next reference point. Okay. And now I have one I want to do from here to right here, and this block will be done. That means I have to either travel to this corner or to this point this point's closer. So I'm just going to travel in the ditch and get back over there. And you know, you're not in a hurry when you're doing ruler work. That's part of the fun. Now for demos, I always use white thread because when I show you a close-up of it, you're actually going to be able to see the quilting much better. You could totally use variegate any color of thread you want to, because when you do it, you are the artist and you are making the creation. Just for when I do classes, I usually use white thread simply because it shows up better on a camera. Okay, so here's my last one, my starting point for all of them. Here's the next seam I'm going to match is this one right here. That's what I'm after. A little bit more. Here we go. Perfect. Oh, I like that. That's a nice one. I really like that one. Lots of fun. Now, I have another block right here that we can go to. And I'm going to do the same thing, but this will be my starting corner, and it'll fan out this way. Okay? So I'm just going to move down to the seam, down to that corner. There's my starting point. And let's see here. I want to go to the opposite corner this way. Let's see here. Okay. Let me get my foot control a little closer. I'm going to stop and put my thumb right back here. Now if you saw that, my ruler just slipped up on top of that foot because I don't have the proper foot. So this is going to be my last line because I don't want my machine to jump timing because I couldn't have the proper foot on it. There we go. Okay. So there's a good example of why you always should have the right foot for the project at hand. So I'm going to spread this out. I'm going to bring this camera down here a little closer so you can get a good look at it. Hold on here. And you'll see some wiggly roomy. Oops. Yeah, maybe not. So here we go. So you can see right here, corner, and they just wove out. Okay. And over here are the other ones that I did. That's all there is to it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.